Nearly 1,000 evangelical leaders met with Donald Trump yesterday as he addressed their concerns about his candidacy. So, did it work?
Well, let's talk to the senior pastor of the Christian Cultural Center and member of Trump's Evangelical Advisory Board, Reverend A.R. Bernard. He was part of a small group that also met ahead of the meeting with Mr. Trump. He joins us live. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
So what did you think?
I thought it was interesting. First of all, let me say that I'm impressed that he asked for advice. And, you know, there's a big difference between a committee of 1,000 and a committee of 20.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you have 20 people in a room, you can really have a discussion. And he was really open. I'm impressed with his sincerity, his authenticity. He lacks articulation. That's reality. But he's very clear in terms of what he wants to do to make the country great.
So there were 20 of you, the advisory board, that sat down at dinner, and then he also talked to the 1,000 pastors yesterday. I know you know Hillary Clinton. She's visited your church in Brooklyn,
yeah.
And I know you've known Donald Trump for 8 years. Compare and contrast them when it comes to their faith.
Well, when it comes to faith, I know Hillary's faith. You know, she's in the Methodist church, and, you know, that's been her identification. Donald says, Mr. Trump says that he is a Presbyterian. You know, when it comes to issues of faith, you need time to see how actions and lifestyle line up with the values of that faith. You know, I haven't had them under observation for 10 years.
What about, I read a couple of accounts of what he talked about. One, he talked about the conservative judges he would appoint to the Supreme Court regarding abortion, which apparently thrilled the crowd, a lot of the people there. Like that idea, but also he suggested to lift the ban on politicking, where currently, if you have tax-exempt status like your church does, if you mention anything political in an endorsement kind of way, you can lose your status.
Yeah, and that goes back to the Lyndon Johnson era, when something was passed that basically said that as a clergyman, we're not allowed to endorse a political candidate, not representing the church. If I step outside my church grounds and as an individual, I can, but not as a representative of the church. And that's something he wants to rethink about. And also, that's steeped in the civil rights movement, because that was really about preventing black clergy who were very involved in politics at the time and the changes that were taking place in American society, and who would have pushed certain political agendas.
So you really want to see him address minority issues too?
Absolutely. You know, my context is quite different from many of the clergy who were gathered in that room yesterday, and even at that larger meeting, all right? Because I'm wanting to know, look, if he becomes president, I want him to represent all of America, but I'm going to have a special concern for how he's going to address the socioeconomic plight of African Americans and people of color in this country. That's the reality, you know. And I said to him yesterday, I said, you know, the millennial African Americans and Gen X African Americans don't have the same love affair with the Clintons that the baby boomer African Americans had. What the millennials and Gen Xers know about the Clintons goes back to what they've researched in Google online. $30 billion in the crime bill that was passed, which you know, impacted seriously mass incarceration, especially disproportionately amongst African-American men.
What was the reaction from the other pastors that were in the room yesterday? Were many of them walking out saying, we're ready to endorse?
Endorsement was not the conversation. You know, most of the issues amongst the evangelical leaders are Israel, same-sex marriage, Supreme Court judges, issues like that.
And most pastors don't endorse anyway, right? Like you said, you're not going to do it. You can't at the pulpit, but you can
no,
out
as individuals, we can endorse political candidates.
Jerry Falwell Jr. has. Jerry Falwell Jr. has. Came out and he's for Trump.
Right. You just can't do it in front of the church.
Right. Now, let me ask you something. If you have some time, can you tell me the 4 things women want?
Oh, absolutely.
That's the name of your book that's now out.
Of course. Maturity, decisiveness, consistency, and strength. And I will tell you, I have 7 sons. If I had 7 daughters, this book would be required reading for any man who wanted to date my daughter.
Oh, 7 sons?
That's right, 7 sons.
No little girls?
Well, I wanted a girl. That's why I have 7 sons.
Go through those.
You'll get some grandchildren.
Go through the 4 things again.
85% of relationships fail. Are doomed to fail. 40 to 50% of marriages end in divorce. 60% second time around, they end in divorce.
Okay, so
it gets
maturity,
worse.
You want a grown-up.
Maturity. Yeah, women want a man to be responsible for his words, thoughts, motives, actions, and attitudes.
Decisiveness.
You have to have a set of clear values and principles that guide your decision-making process.
Consistency.
You want to make sure that your values and your actions line up, because that creates security and safety in a woman's mind in a relationship. Strength the courage to live out convictions is very important, and the strength to be gentle and kind.
And his next book, What
Much
Men
like the song,
Want.
Tim McGraw.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, those 4 things, those also apply to our president, don't
I
they?
will tell you those 4 things also apply to what people look for in a leader.
Yeah.
They want maturity, decisiveness, consistency, and strength in leadership.
It's all in your brand new book.
Reverend, thank you very much. A real pleasure.
It's been my pleasure.
I want to know what men want now.
Ah, that's the next book.
That'll be the next book.
I'll tell you
We
later.
know.